From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Wednesday, March 22nd, 2017. Silver is trading at $17.52 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,245 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at 1.1 cents, and the average price of Bitcoin is $1,105. Antiwar.com reports it's been nearly 16 years since the United States and its NATO allies invaded and occupied Afghanistan, and U.S. Commander General John Nicholson, the latest in a long line of commanders who've been charged with getting a handle on the conflict, is seeking an increase in U.S. ground troops in the country. The Afghan government is all for that, with Foreign Minister Salahuddin Rabbani welcoming the call for several thousand more U.S. troops, a move which comes as the Afghan government continues to lose territory to the Taliban, and after recent reports suggesting that the Taliban holds more territory now than at any time since 2001. While both the Bush and Obama administrations made a big deal of trying to make Afghanistan self-sufficient, give or take large annual subsidies to pay for their military, they don't appear to be getting any closer, with the Taliban seemingly as strong as ever and the Afghan military as ever huge and impotent and waiting for foreign troops to bail them out of mounting losses. The Obama administration was willing early on to escalate the Afghan war to try to shift the momentum away from the Taliban, and the Trump administration seems to be following down that road with the lesson of the last 15 years of failure all but forgotten, and the expectation that a few thousand more troops will make a difference.
For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co.
UPI reports a Texas killer set to die in the state's lethal injection chamber in 3 weeks could possibly get a last-minute reprieve from his victim's family. Paul's story is scheduled for execution on April 12th for the October 2006 murder of a manager at a miniature golf course in Hurst, Texas. He was convicted of shooting 28-year-old Jonas Cherry in the head and legs during the robbery and sentenced to death. An accomplice pled guilty to charges and received life in prison. Cherry's parents, however, say they do not want to see their son's killer put to death and prefer the sentence to be commuted to life in prison. It is not uncommon for relatives of capital murder victims to oppose the death penalty, as many feel spending one's life in prison is a tougher punishment than execution. That decision is no longer in the hands of the Tarrant County District Attorney, who on Monday asked that her entire office be recused from any further action in the case because one of her staff attorneys used to represent Story. A Texas judge granted that request.
Cell 411 is a free app for Android and iOS that replaces government-controlled 911. Cell 411 allows you to preset a group of friends or private organization to show up in an emergency. Cell 411 is a nightmare to the state because it proves their so-called services aren't needed. Cell 411, because your friends won't shoot you when you're in trouble. Without the government, who would build the emergency services? You and Cell 411. Get it today at getcell411.com.
Reuters reports the U.S. Supreme Court on Tuesday put new restrictions on presidential powers, limiting a president's authority to staff certain top government posts in a case involving an appointment to the National Labor Relations Board. The court decided 6-2 to uphold a lower court's ruling that then-President Barack Obama exceeded his legal authority with his temporary appointment of a National Labor Relations Board general counsel in 2011. In an opinion by Chief Justice John Roberts, the court said that under the Federal Vacancies Reform Act, a person cannot serve as the acting head of a federal agency once the president nominates him or her to permanently serve in the role if it is a position that requires U.S. Senate confirmation. SW General Incorporated, a Scottsdale, Arizona-based private ambulance company and a subsidiary of Envision Healthcare Holdings Incorporated, had challenged the makeup of the National Labor Relations Board as it sought to invalidate a board ruling that said it violated federal labor law by discontinuing bonus payments for longtime employees. The NLRB had argued that the law's restriction only applies to politically appointed first assistants who are first in line for acting positions when the heads of agencies leave office, and not to other officials. The ruling will give President Trump and future presidents less flexibility in filling jobs that require Senate confirmation. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.